welcome back to another episode of Sunshine on Leyth. Sunshine on Leyth, the analysis days. So I thought I would just sort of skip ahead briefly to get the initial budgets for next season, although actually it took me all of a day. However, they're the same. So we haven't been given any additional wage budget in addition to what we had last year. And also bearing in mind, so basically they haven't changed anything. They've basically gone, you know what, you did all right with the money last year. We're not going to adjust the wage budget at all. We still have 215k in transfer funds available. Obviously, we've got some deals that are ready to go. We've got John Richardson. I told you guys about Kyle Lee. I said we had a New Zealand centre-back from Man City as well. There's also a youngster from Hamilton, but we'll talk about those guys mostly in the in the transfer video, because they'll all be joining us too. So that's pretty damn good. Obviously, that does take some of our wages out of play as well. So we're really only going to be working with about £7.5 grand, which when you think of what we had last summer, means we're going to have to be a bit more stingy this time around and really try to look for key signings. But I think we're in a position where we actually can maybe get away with doing that. Just looking at key positions to bring in a few extra bodies. Like, pressing forward is the key. Curtis Thomas still did well this year, as we're going to find out, but I do think we need to start looking for someone who could do that for us at a higher level. That's essentially going to be the plan. So we'll look at the squad now. Now, Neil Cross is actually considered our best player. Now, let me just make sure I've got this set up right with the skin. Yes, I have. So I think long term, or at least for a little while, Neil Cross has definitely got some ability for us. I mean, that just goes without saying, quite frankly. He's got great finishing, great composure, decisions. There's a lot of things to like about Neil Cross. And hopefully he continues to improve as he has done over the course of this year. 19 goals for us in the league in total is pretty damn good, really, for what we wanted out of that role. And he's only 19 years old and has got room to improve, and I do think that he will improve too. Only the 4 assists, but let's face it, still a very good debut season for Neil Cross. I was a bit unsure at first, and I think maybe had we given him more of a chance after he came back from that injury, we could have seen even more out of him, to be honest. James Dale has proven once again that he's only capable of scoring goals in cup competitions. I don't know how, and I don't know why, but he's got another year left on his contract. He's actually on more money than Neil Cross, hilarious. Simon Defty, his contract is up this summer, and he will probably move on, although he has played over 100 games for the club, which is really nice to see, but we probably do need to move on to pastures new, given his lack of appearances for us this season. Obviously, Lamini, a loan signing, came in on loan from Millwall, didn't really play a lot for us, so I can't really judge him too harshly, in all honesty. Ryan Galvin, again, hasn't played for us at all this season. He's one of those guys that we're just waiting for his contract to expire, so we are going to get some money back from a load of contract expiries too. Sam Harding. Now, Harding has barely featured for us this season, and I do wonder if that's something we should be taking into account. I was thinking of the wrong player. He's the right-sided player. So actually, there could still be something here. We might just have to get him on a new contract. I got him confused with Will Harding. But he did have a little perk up towards the end of the season, weirdly. So there's definitely something there, maybe. We just need to sort of nurture him. He has at least learned the winger role, though. So he's definitely going to be able to play more next season, I feel like. Will Harding. So his contract is, again, up next summer. Barely played for us this season at all. And I do wonder what to do about Will Harding. Who is he wanted by? Is he actually wanted by someone for transfer? He is wanted by Birmingham for a transfer. So I wonder if we can actually get some money out of this deal, because I do think that, particularly with us signing yet another centre-back, he's just going to get pushed further down the order, particularly if I try to bring Josh Parry back, which I will. Nick Holman played more minutes, actually, than Lamini, and even he just really, really struggled as a pressing forward. We're going to have to find someone else. Idahan, I think, it's weird, because it's so difficult to know what is and what isn't a good goalkeeper on FM anymore, quite frankly. We're just going to have another look, try and bring a new boy in, and see what we can come up with, to be honest, because we really need a big quality keeper. Ray Jennings, been on loan from Wigan this year, barely played, so we can't really judge him too harshly. Ben Johnson, I'm judging this guy fully. I think he's had an excellent season compared to what we were sort of expecting. 8 goals and 10 assists, 8 goals and 12 assists in all competitions. Compare that to last year where he got 6 goals and 6 assists. And the real thing for me, yes, he's played a couple more games, but he's added way more creativity to his game, without a shadow of a doubt. It's so noticeable how much better he's been in that area. I think the only thing you can really see about him is that he's shooting the target way more. He is winning more fouls, and he's dribbling more, which is kind of the key thing for me. He's just getting into better positions, and it's worked for him, frankly. He's had a better season than last year, and I'm firmly on board, and that's good to see. Kai Knight, again, I think he's been solid again this season. He's going to reach his sort of peak for us soon, isn't he? Who is he wanted by? Rochdale. Okay, so there's nothing special there. The 13 pace really, really does help Kai Knight. He's not got the best acceleration, but look at this. 16, 15, 14. He is, for a League One centre-back, that's actually really, really good. He does the really basic things really, really well. And I'm totally content with starting him as our centre-back for us again next season. Now, you can see a 6.95 is a little low, which means that he was possibly struggling in some areas for us, but that might just be that we were conceding more goals this season. Ruben Lau, his contract is up this summer, and I think he may well leave. Although, because, I mean, he does count for the home ground, but he's not played for us in about 2 years. In fact, he's played 2 appearances in the last 3 seasons. He's basically not made any appearances for the club since we were in the Football League, so there's that. Michael Lee, I did give him a new contract. He's not on huge money anyway, just because I've always found something kind of interesting about him. Now, he hasn't played enough games this year, really, but he has still continued to improve to a certain extent, but he's 21, starting to sort of reach a bit of a peak, but there's still some decent things about him. It does lack the consistency, though. 29 substitute appearances. This is absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? But Dave Morton's been so consistent. And speaking of Dave Morton, I think he's been outstanding this year. 14 goals and 12 assists for the lovely left-sided Englishman. 21 goals and 79 appearances for us. In 2 seasons, he's really racked up some decent numbers for us. He's got 2 more years left on his contract now. The release clause is gone. He's quick. He's got great acceleration. His crossing and dribbling is good. I'm working on his technique now. Really, only his off the ball is a little bit subpar. But again, when you compare it to last year, he's stepping up slightly. Only slightly, but it's nevertheless getting there. So last year, 33 games, it was... well, with some substitute appearances too. 10 goals, 14 assists. This year, 14 goals and 12 assists. Did he actually get more assists in total? Yeah, he did, interestingly. 12 in the league, and 12 in the league. He got a few more in the cup last season, I suppose. So actually, what Dave Morton's really added this year is goals to his game. He's been scoring a few more goals this season, still providing a decent amount. 24 assists in 2 seasons is pretty damn solid. And maybe I overestimated slightly how much better he's been, but, you know, he's been dribbling a little bit less this year. Hitting the target a little bit less as well, interestingly. Making more tackles, though. So he's been doing more of what we actually really want to see out of our wingers and winning way more fouls than he was before. So he's doing something right. So pleasing for me for Dave Morton there. Mohamed Moulay Idris. Again, I really would quite like to bring him back in too, if we can. Now, who's he? Oh, his contract's expiring. I mean... he's one of my clubs in our division. We will try and get Idris back, because I wouldn't mind going with a Richardson and Idris partnership again there. Those two really did do a decent job. 1 goal this season for him, but the 9 assists, all pretty much deliveries from set pieces too. But I really like Idris, and it's cool to have a player from Mauritania. That alone makes him pretty cool. Now, he'd probably want large money, and we wouldn't be able to leverage clauses in there, but there's a lot of good stuff in here too. Well, presumably he'd be available cheaper than that, due to the fact that, you know, he's got his contract running out at the end of the season. And as far as I can tell... he does have an optional extension of 1 year. I don't know if it'd be worth it, because I don't know if it's worth us trying to do what we've done with John Richardson, because it would cost us quite a bit of money. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. We'll keep an eye on that one quite a lot. Russell Nevitt. I still quite like Russell Nevitt, in all honesty. His average rating hasn't been spectacular, but I think with the right training, he could definitely still do a job for us. That and the fact that he actually can play centre-back somewhat accomplishedly, just due to his natural jumping reach and whatnot. He's not super slow either. He's really useful to have as a utility player, if nothing else, and as a result, I think that's one of the reasons I want to keep him around more than anything, just because he can play both positions if we need him to. Daniel Ojo is he's still on one of these contracts. I really do need to just release him, because he's never going to play for us ever again. I forgot we even had him still here. Curtis Page, on loan from Stoke. I thought he'd be a good asset to us, but actually he's had 3 appearances and has been really, really poor for them. But, I don't know, depends what you want on a permanent transfer, I suppose. Who's he wanted by Birmingham and Charlton? Interesting. Josh Parry, surely his contract isn't up. Oh, my lord, it is. I mean, that's very, very interesting. Oh, no, it's not. What am I talking about? His contract with Fulham has still got plenty of time left on it. So, I want to try and get him back for another season, because I think he's been excellent this year. Less goals, but... I've really seen things I like about Josh Parry. Physically, he's phenomenal, which really does help. It ticks a lot of the key boxes in a lot of key areas, frankly, for me. I wish his marking and tackling were slightly better, and I might try and get him to work on those personally next year if he's back for a second season, because that might be me slowly starting to say, you know what, we're going to get this guy eventually, basically. Mick Patrick, over on that right-hand side, again, defensive winger. Didn't see a lot of him this season, really. He got a goal and an assist, but he mostly came off the bench this season due to, again, Johnson and Morton basically barely ever got injured. So we rarely ever had a chance to switch things up there. He's on quite a large amount of money as well. So again, some of these contracts we may have to take a look at in this summer. And if we can move a few of these guys on that maybe are just not going to quite make the cut, then we could bring some money back into the team, which we really do need. Ben Pot-McKinley, as you can see, no way he's going to be playing for us at all. But he's useful to have around the club because he's a bit of a, you know, he's a personality, if nothing else. He has signed a new deal, though. He wasn't going at one point, but now he has. He's got 3 years left on his contract and a 3-year extension. So at the very least, he'll be here till he's 29. I want to give Ben Putman-Cartley the best possible chance of playing in the Premier League for us one day and maybe playing in Europe someday. I don't know if we can get there in 6 years, but you never really know. John Richardson, obviously, he will be joining permanently in the summer. Really, really pleased with that. I think we may have paid a bit more than I wanted to, but I still think that, and the problem really for me is the injuries. if he has had some injury problems this year, and when he's played, he's been outstanding. 7.25 average rating for a guy that has only got 6 assists this season. He's been utterly brilliant, considering he's only got 10 passing and 10 vision as well. I do think that he's basically more of a stopgap until someone better comes along, but he's not even on huge money when he joins us. So I think it's definitely good to tide us over until we can find a better player to play in that deep line playmaker role, or as a regista, which is, I think, what he's actually doing. Where is it? Oh yeah, because he sits slightly deeper. It's rare to see players that are actually capable of playing that role, other than that random dude that was at Scunthorpe. Paul Cinnamon, not on huge money anyway, just to sort of fill in play on that right-hand side. Stanojevic has been out on loan at Sutton United. Don't think he's ever going to quite make it. Connor Teal? His contract's up next summer. I think he'll probably go then, because I think his time of usefulness is starting to wear thin. And of course, Harry Thomas Barker will go back to Notts County. And of course, Curtis Thomas. This is a very interesting one for me. 17 goals this season. Like, he's hit 100 league goals on the dot for Notts County. Now, I don't know why we didn't get a pop-up about that. That would have been sick to see. But there's his record for us so far. So he's really only done 4 full seasons. And he's hit double figures each year. Even his average rating this season isn't that bad. Like, it's still a very solid record. But we have to do something more. So, for me, like, obviously we can't see his hidden attributes. So there's obviously that. We can't figure that out completely. I think the key things for us, to be a pressing forward, and we play one on attack, it's important to note here as well, which is ironic considering his... So, it's... Concentration, finishing, of course, are important. We really do need a player that can actually finish if we're going to play there. But work rate, acceleration, like, the physical attributes really do seem to be important. Speed, physicality, work rate. He's not super aggressive, so clearly it's not about his aggression. My guess is it's about his work rate, his determination, stuff like that makes him so good for this role. That and being generally very good physically in terms of his like pure natural fitness, pace, acceleration, that sort of stuff. He's not stupidly strong, so I think that's what we've got to be looking for in a clone of Curtis Thomas, because we kind of want to be using a CT template. That's kind of what we want to be looking for a player this summer, because I do feel like we have to move on to a better striker, but he will always go down in history as the player that scored, the first player to ever score 100 goals in the league for Whitport Athletic. That's an insane amount of goals. To score 25 plus 3 seasons in a row, get double figures in assists 3 seasons in a row, double figures in man of the match awards 3 seasons in a row, and even this year 14 goals is certainly nothing to be sniffed at when you consider that, well, actually he did still play a decent number of games, like not quite as many. In fact, he actually played more than he did last year, so clearly something has changed, and he's definitely struggled to adapt to League One. But I still think he's a capable League One striker, just not like top draw, and we definitely are going to need to improve in this summer if we can do anyway. Thornley as well. I want to try and get him back on loan from Blackburn again, if we can, because I actually quite liked his performances for us this season. Not so much him personally, but we seem to do well when he's in the team. And there's a lot of things I like about him. He's not stupidly quick. He's very good technically in the defensive aspects of things. Can pass for decentness. Crossing isn't spectacular, but he's only 18. He could definitely improve that. Some excellent mentals as well. I don't know. I feel like there's something there. The price tag is kind of the problem here, and that's the issue. I feel like we'd have to definitely try and get back on loan again. So I might try and renew a few of our loan signings first thing, basically. Bernard Tong. I didn't even show you this guy. I got him on a free transfer from Liverpool. He's just sort of another centre-back. Mainly brought him in just because of the potential that was allegedly there. So we'll have to see how he actually develops, really. He's not on huge money. He's got a 3-year deal, so there you go. Jed Vernon, again, he's a strange one. I feel like he's a solid player to have around the club. He's certainly made no shortage of appearances for us this year, 22 of which, because we had so many injuries in that defensive midfield spot. But you can certainly see that's one of the areas I think we do need to try and sign someone. I really still haven't found my like lung-busting defensive midfielder who's just going to win everything and be like 6'2". That's what I want. I want Kante and Drinkwater. I want the one player that hoovers everything up and sets the ball our way for the player to be more creative. And we don't really have that. Jacob Wakeling, he's actually not even had the worst year. I've got to be fair to Jacob. His contract is expiring this summer, and I probably will let him go. But 8 goals in 24 matches this season. His average rating is the lowest that it's been since his first season in League Two. But honestly, minutes per goal, it is pretty solid, to be honest. He only started 12 matches, whereas in recent years, like, he got 45 games that year and only got 11 goals. He was still on for a pretty solid season for us, to be honest, but I feel like Neil Cross was the man. Interesting, though. Adinaran, right-sided player. We could probably do with more support in the right-back spot, but we'll have a look at that properly when we get into things. Ajayi, we've got a big old squad. I think that long-term, there's still something for this guy, but he's going to need to get some more football, and that's up to me to give it to him. We've just not... Maybe I've just been... I don't know. I think it's just as he's not as quick as I maybe would like, but then that's my fault. I signed him. Elaine, the massive centre-back as well, which is always useful to have around. He does have some problems here with some of these. The problem is, when you sign these players on free transfers, you can never be as picky as you can when you're normally doing this. Is sometimes I sometimes get comments about like, why do you always sign these players that have got bad personalities lately or low determination? I'm like, when you're getting these players from Premier League clubs on free transfers, you cannot afford to be picky about stuff like that. Well, I mean, you can, but like at the end of the day, you're not going to suddenly go and find another player with the same qualities that doesn't have that attribute, unfortunately, for the money you're at, because you take what you can get at this level. Now, when you're doing proper scouting, obviously I would try to avoid certain personalities and certain levels of certain attributes, but when you're getting those free transfers from Premier League sides that have got ridiculously good technicals or physicals, sometimes you just got to take a hit somewhere, whether that's on the cons or a certain mental attribute that's not well. You know, it's one of those things you just kind of have to balance out when you're a League 1, League 2 side, really. I think we're coming to the end of the days where we can get away with doing those sort of things. So, Terry Bishop, of course, still at the club. Still, I do wonder if he's still got something for us, but I'm concerned that injury has hampered his development so seriously. Charlie Brown-Rawdon, God, how long does this go? Joe Bruce as well. Still got... Interesting, he's still rated at 5-star potential. He's quick as well. With the right training, which we're obviously getting him on, he could still be something, potentially, Joe Bruce. Might have to extend his contract for next season. Another one that's just kind of gone under the radar. And we're back to Neil Cross. Let's quickly go check out the league stats now. So, we're obviously quite far down here, as you would expect. Obviously, Notts County played Charlton in the final two. So, penalties taken. Notts County with the most. We only had 4, but we did score them all. Stanley only had 2 penalties all season. Notts County's penalty record is atrocious. So they've only scored 5 of their 10 penalties. 50% record from penalties is absolutely shocking. You'd expect them to have scored 7 or 8, statistically, out of those. Headers 1. We're obviously down towards our usual spot, which is no surprise. Same kind of situation here. Yellow cards, still a little too high for my liking, but it's not as bad as it could be, I suppose. Red cards, just the 2. I think last year we didn't have any, so we're actually kind of stepping back on that one. Form is totally nonsense. Most goals scored in the entire division again, though. But then what I would say is that nobody really scored that many goals. The second highest only got 69. Nice. That's not a lot. Usually you get teams up into like the 80s. That's way less than even 2 a game. And not even that we were close to that either. It's actually surprising. Oxford United scored 61 times and still came 22nd this season. Their defence must have been absolutely abysmal. Down at the bottom, obviously, Accrington Stanley only scored 37 times. So, yeah, Blackhaven didn't even score that many goals, to be fair. That was their main problem. They just weren't scoring enough goals. Cross completion? Kind of mid-table. Blackhaven have got some good cross completion here as well, which is nice to see. Well, I say nice to see for them. In fact, yeah, as you can see, 409 crosses completed. You can certainly see what they're trying to do. Goal from corners. So we scored 11 times from corners. Not even, wow. It's weird. Since we stopped conceding them, we also seem to have stopped scoring them as regularly too. But nevertheless, 11 goals, not too bad. Up there with the best. Direct free kicks, for once, we are actually top of this one. A rarity for us, I've got to say. 4 goals from direct free kicks. Dave Morton's been banging them this year. Indirect free kicks, still useless at those. Just one of those things. Some seasons were good, some seasons were bad. This year, we were bad. Pass completion, obviously down towards the bottom because of the way we play. Passes completed, obviously down towards the bottom. But, look at this. 62 chances more than anyone else in the entire division. And that right there is the key issue for us. We're not taking our chances. If we could sort ourselves out to actually take our chances, then my God, like we should walk this league. If we could just get ourselves sorted. Blackhaven as well are fluffing way too many chances this season. It's a strange one actually. Look at this. Burton Albion and Plymouth as well. Shows you that chances doesn't equal specifically results, but having quality strikers certainly does bloody help with that, doesn't it? Shots on target ratio, right up there, which is nice. Shots on target as well, one of the highest in the entire division. That seems to be more of an indicator, actually, of position. Fleetwood had the most shots on target, and they were right up there, as were most of the top 4. Although what I would say as well is the MK Dons didn't hit the target that much. Conversion rate must have been solid for them. Oxford, again, 11%. They just score a lot of goals, but their defence must be absolutely tremendously bad. Fouls against, we do seem to win a lot of fouls, apparently. That's kind of interesting. Dribbles per game. Right up there, but not the very tiredest. Conceded. One of the worst defences in the league. That's the key for me. 65 goals conceded this season is shocking. Now, I do think it's weirdly got... This is something that boggles my damn brain. So we've changed our defensive set-piece setup and have been conceding less goals from them, as you now know. We're going to take a look at this properly in a minute, right? But for some reason, in that period, we're now conceding more goals from open play. There should be no correlation. If you're not conceding the goal, you're not conceding the goal. How on earth... maybe it's just complete luck. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way the game balances itself out. Because it does feel like since we've stopped conceding them from that, they've suddenly started popping up in other areas now. Really odd. Blackhaven only conceded 3 goals from corners this year. We conceded 12 from corners. That's shocking. Direct free kicks, 1. Thankfully, that's not quite so bad. So that's 13 in total. Look at this, though. Indirect free kicks, 14. That is mind-blowing. Like, you only have to go 2 spots up here to find that a team have got conceded less than half of what we have from that same exact area. That is insane. So what's that? 27 just there. just 27 goals from just corners, indirect free kicks, and direct free kicks, nearly half. And then you still got to account penalties, of course. Now, it's annoying because we can't actually see how many have been conceded specifically versus saved. We know we've conceded the most, though, at 11. But I don't think you can see how many of them were actually scored. So just taking on average of penalties, my guess is we've conceded 7 or 8. But since it's 11, let's say 8. So we've conceded 35, 34 goals from set pieces this season, which, again, at one point it was over 65% of our goals conceded. Now, it is less now. It's closer to 50. Well, it's not closer to 50. It's closer than it was. And it certainly has got better. Because remember, I said we were already at like 33 when we reached like match day 32 or something in the league. And we've only conceded maybe 1 or 2 in the last 12 matches. So definitely next year, look for this stat to be down towards 11 or 12 goals conceded from set pieces in the full season. And that right there is probably what I think could be the difference between us staying in this division next season or going up. If we can sort that out and continue that spell, then our goal difference will be 20 better, and that's surely going to account for at least 10 points, which would be enough to get us automatic promotion. So that's what I'm hoping anyway. Obviously, other things will change there too. Amazingly, Blackhaven only get 4,600 people in their games. That's brilliant, because we're nearly getting the same attendances that they are, despite the fact that our stadium is tiny compared to theirs. Lol. We haven't heard any news about our new stadium yet either, by the way. Average attendance, 31%, whereas we are towards the top at 78%. Good stuff. Stadium sellouts, just the 2 for us. Don't know what they were. I'm guessing it was the game against Blackhaven, and then it was the game against Notts County in the Cup, maybe? Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Blackhaven at home, and it was Sunderland at home as well. Blackhaven, of course, had none. No surprises there. Their highest attendance of the year was probably against us, was it not? 7,000. Now, I can say, I joke that, even though we're the second bottom here, but then we at least sold out the stadium in that one, ain't we? And we're going to get a new stadium soon, so that's going to be fun. Let's check out players as well while we're at it. So who actually went down from this division so we can just see? I want to make sure that we can... So Salford, Colchester, Oxford. I can't believe Oxford scored 61 times and got relegated. Like, that's insane. They scored more goals than the MK Dons, who were promoted from the league. Crazy news. So yeah, Salford, Colchester, Oxford, Shrewsbury. The reason I wanted to check that is so that we could see if there's any players of those guys keep popping up that we could maybe go after. Dave Morton with the most he could win Player of the Year here, or certainly be in with a good chance of it. I mean, there's obviously Zander of Oxford, but he's 30 years old and on nearly £3,000 a week. And he's on loan from Portsmouth anyway. So, yeah, that's kind of a bit of a no-brainer for us there, not to even try and go after a player like that. But you never know. So Lee Hardy here of Salford City is a defensive midfielder. Okay, that's more like it. Get me a scout report on him, friends. This is the kind of thing we got to do in these. Lee Cross, obviously, right next to Neil Cross. Obviously. Though Neil Cross did have a slightly better rating in that one too. Another one. There's a few Salford City players in here considering. Chris Lewis, 6'3". Oh, wow. Look at the money he's on, though. Christ. And he's an international. Oh, he's on loan from Bristol City. That might actually be workable for us, potentially. Might be an option for us in there somewhere. Interesting. Okay, so that's that. Distance cover for 90 minutes. It's always nice to see Morton and Johnson up there. Nathan Butcher has somehow covered even more ground. Did Burn get relegated? I think they did, didn't they? Are they one of the ones that got relegated? I keep forgetting. Oh, no, they didn't. What am I talking about? Not even close. Nathan Butcher. Wow, he's a central midfielder. Interesting indeed. Very interesting. So, yeah, good stuff to see on that one. Average rating, of course. So that actually means that maybe Idris could end up being player of the season, which is surprising, actually. I wonder why he's done so well. So when he plays, he clearly does a bloody good job, because it can't all just be from assists from corners. There's no way that you'd get that from there. Not that amount of rating for that consistent period of time. To have 3 of the top 4 players on this list is a very, very good sign for me. Lee Hardy on there again, which is encouraging about potentially trying to pick up someone like that. So I'll take that. Top goal scorer in the league, Neil Cross. What a man. Neil Cross, Lee Cross, all the crosses are in there as well, which is nice to see, I suppose. George Nunn of Blackhaven was their top scorer with 13 goals. So make of that what you will. It's not quite what you'd expect from them in that kind of position where they were last year, particularly. Goals per 90 minutes. You see, Jacob Wakeling wasn't even that far off, to be fair to him. He's done well this year. I can't really knock that when you look at him compared to Curtis Thomas, whose goal scoring record is very similar to Dave Morton. So, yeah. George Nunn has also had the most shots this season. How was he? He scored 13 goals of 150 shots, whereas Curtis Thomas scored 14 goals from literally 2/3 of that. And then you'll notice as well how Neil Cross is nowhere to be seen. That's interesting at all. Let's see if he's even on this one. Yeah, he is. Neil Cross has scored 40. He's only had 46 shots on target. I mean, that is impressive when you actually think about that. So Curtis Thomas has had like nearly 20 shots more than him and has somehow scored 5 goals less. His conversion rate must be very, very good indeed. Shots on target percentage, interestingly, it's around about the same. So Curtis Thomas is just getting his shots saved, which I think to me is the biggest evidence we've got now of him sort of reaching a peak. Conversion rate, Neil Cross, 24%. Yeah, that is very, very good. And I think next year, if he carries that on, he could be top scorer in this division and looking for 30 goals. I genuinely believe that. He's also scored penalties for us too. Not that Curtis Thomas wasn't doing that before. So Harrison Burrows scored for Mocha Elisa, getting loads of assists. Morton, Johnson, Idris as well, all up there with assists, which is nice to see as well. Don't think there's any huge surprises on here, apart from this guy, Joseph Jonathan of Salford City. But again, they've got a lot of loan players. I have tried to get senior affiliates. The board aren't having any of it. Key passes, Idris again, 70%. Wow, it's weird. Idris has played more key passes than John Richardson. That is fascinating. Has he just got better passing stats? 14 passing, 14 vision. He actually does. It's interesting that we could probably do with having both of these guys next season and then having someone else to play. I wonder if we were wasting Idris playing him in that other role. Look at his pass completion, 87%. Cross completion's 27%. Like, it's very much maybe that Idris was the hero all along. That's definitely worth looking into. Once again as well, Lee Hardy appearing again for Salford City. Chances created, Dave Morton, 33%. Idris, 22. Johnson, 21. Thomas, 18. You'll notice, I suppose Idris does take corners, so we've got to bear that in mind. And they probably do count as key passes and chances created when they get headers on goal from them, so that could be slightly skewed. But still, it's nice to see that we've got players both up on that one. Wow. Both the Virtue Boys here over at Blackpool passing completion. I'm guessing Blackpool play a bit tiki-taka style, it would seem. Dribbles per 90 minutes, Ben Johnson's on there. Dave Morton's sort of on there. Anyone getting relegated that perhaps we can pick up? Joseph Jonathan again. Lots of Blackhaven players. That was clearly part of their style, but it didn't work out that well for him in the end, did it? Tackles per 90 minutes. Usually you do see some interesting ones in here, like Matthew Birch McNaught, perhaps. Okay, that is very interesting indeed, because he is at Oxford, so they're going down, but tackles per 90 minutes, and as a winger to have 5 tackles per 90 minutes, which is what we used to see out of the likes of Ben Putman-Kitely, and we haven't really seen from anyone lately. Did Accrington Stanley get relegated? I mean, he's good there, but he doesn't. He's nowhere near as, and he's on huge money for Accrington Stanley. Then again, we don't really know what huge money is at this level because we pay so very little. Barry Keenely is a guy I was looking forward to trying to get on loan from West Brom, and I may well still try and do so for next season if we can't get our boy Thornley back again as well. Colchester went down too, so Aston Herbert is a right back. Very, very good pace. That could be useful. Now, I don't know what he's like in terms of crossing. That could be the killer for me on that kind of deal. Ollie Littlejohn. Now, we know all about this guy because we're constantly seeing him on that right-hand side against us. So, once again, I'll try and get some scout reports on these fellas. Now, a lot of them I think are going to be well out of our range, but just on the off chance that one of them's got like a relegation release clause or something, which is unlikely, but you just never know at this level. So, there we go. Mistakes into goals. None of our players on this list at all, which is very, very nice to see indeed. Overall mistakes. Wow, none of our players on this one either. I don't remember the last time I got through an entire year without that one. Key tackles. No one on this one either, though. It would have been nice, but I guess we'll have to settle for that since they're not appearing on the other one. Key headers. There we go. Kai Knight and Josh Parry. Bam. Both up there. Manny Month, obviously. I would say head and shoulders, but actually he's got the same number as Kai Knight. So that's kind of good to see. Some good defensive attributes from those guys there, which is always nice. Interceptions made. Manny Month again. So I'm guessing that makes him very tall. 6'4". But he's just a good player, isn't he? Just a good player. Josh Parry is on that one, but Kai Knight nowhere to be found on that one, interestingly. Shots blocked, we're not really that bothered about that one. And the goalkeeping one is kind of meaningless a lot of the time. Although, oh, there we go. So actually, it was 5 out of 10 penalties. So it was actually only 33 goals scored from corners this season. Sorry, from set pieces. I must have miscalculated. I didn't realise you could see it like this. So yeah, although didn't we have 11 penalties? Oh yeah, so actually we saved 6 penalties. No, wow, we've saved 6 out of 11 penalties this season. That's impressive. Oh no, he saved 5 out of them. So yeah, yes, we've saved 6 out of, wow, that's actually really, really good. Our penalty saving record this season is vastly above average too, so that's pleasing. Right, let's do a quick little rundown and see if there's any kind of real glaring gaps that we really do need to fill. Okay, so centre-backs. I mean, really, oh sorry, not centre-backs, left-backs. Now, obviously Josh Parry is ignoring here. The problem we've got really is Michael Lee has played in both positions, so really we can't compare him that much. We've got to really be looking at Nevitt and Ajay, because that's kind of the main battle here. Everyone else has kind of not really played, so that's really kind of all right on that one. So, times the team conceded, Ajay, that's very, very strong compared to Nevitt on that one. Interceptions-wise, again, slightly better. Tackles 1, slightly better. More tackles made by Ajay too. Passing slightly worse, which is fair. Key passes, again, slightly off the pace, but again, headers around about the same, wins a few more. Dribbles are slightly worse, and his crossing is slightly better. His assists are slightly worse, and his chances are slightly worse. So we score less with him in the team. Our PPG is higher, though. So what this kind of tells me, and again, it's limited data, but it's still enough. It's still 1,000 minutes. Like, that's a lot of game time still. What it's sort of saying to me is that Nevitt is clearly a slightly better player in terms of creativity. Like, he's gonna provide slightly more assists, and he's gonna create slightly more chances. Like, that seems inevitable. However, we seem to concede a considerable amount less goals with Ajay in the team because he has that defensive fortitude. And I do wonder how important our fullbacks are for an attacking threat to this team. And maybe we've been looking at this all wrong. And maybe what we actually want from our fullbacks is just defensive stability instead of using them as like overlapping wingbacks, even though that's kind of what their role sort of does. Because as far as I can remember, sorry, I always get confused with tactics. Yeah, we do actually play them as wingbacks, but maybe we're just sort of using them like fullbacks. I wonder if maybe we want a more defensive player on that right-hand side, and maybe that's why Thornley performed better than Dixon. I don't know. It's certainly worth noting, though. Not super like in a hurry to go and bring in anyone on that side either, really, because Nevitt's a 3-star player, Ajay is a 2.5-star player with room to grow. They're both 5-star potential in theory. Now, yeah, sure, if we get the opportunity to bring in a youngster, but it's certainly not going to be at the top of my agenda right now, and I'm actually quite pleased with that spot. But maybe that's the thing. Maybe it is just about getting those situations a bit more, and maybe we should look to play more of Ajay next season instead of Nevitt. Hey, this is the thing. This is why you do these little experiments, because I would not have come to that conclusion without looking at these attributes right now. I would have just assumed that Nevitt was just a better player because of his average rating, and again, that could just be the case as well, but it depends on what you want out of the position that they're playing in, really. So let's check out the right-backs. Now, right-back, it's going to be between Thornley and Adinaran, really, but Thornley's kind of played the most. Now, Dixon obviously played, but he's gone back from his loan spell, so it's hard to really pay that much attention. This should be a straightforward win for Thornley, I would have thought, but we will see. We could see more with Adinaran in the team, but he does win more tackles, to be fair to him, and more interceptions. I'm guessing that's because he's taller than Thornley. No, he is absolutely not taller. Wow, good look at this. 4.72 tackles to 3. That's not too bad, actually. And also, pass-wise, they're about the same. Headers-wise, he's about the same. But Thornley can dribble a bit more, and he's got slightly better crossing. Creativity-wise, he's better. And also, we score way more goals with Thornley in the team. His PPG is pretty solid as well. I would really like to get Thornley back next season, is essentially the gist of what I'm saying. If we can get him back on a loan spell for next season, I don't know if we can do this now. You might not be able to when we're outside the window. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do this immediately here, because why the hell not? The fact that they only want 80% of his wages too, that is ridiculously good. So we're just going to try and sort that one out right now, because I really do want Thornley back next year. I might still go after that other guy, but I've seen enough from Dylan Thornley this year that makes me think that I want to keep him around the squad, basically. Our fullbacks, generally speaking, have poor average ratings in general. I do wonder if that's because we're not quite using them in the right positions. But I do want to try and sign someone below him too, because I don't really like Adinaran. Something about him just doesn't seem to suit the way we play. I'm not sure what it is, but I definitely think a right back potentially could be something we need to do. So I'm just going to put right back on my list here. Obviously, goalkeepers, we're going to be signing a goalkeeper too, no matter what we do. That's one of the main positions I'm going to be looking after. I've just accidentally hit Control F. That's not the right button, Matt. Let's crack on. And now I'm highlighting it. It's all going swimmingly, boys. Right. Centre-backs. Very interesting one, this one, because there's going to be quite a few players that are available for that role. So, key thing, really, Kai Knight, Josh Parry. Aline's played there too. Harding's played there as well a little bit. But really, we're looking at Kai Knight and Josh Parry. I want to just see how well they've done and compare them to like Aline when he has got some game time, quite frankly. So, team conceded per 90 minutes. It's very, very similar. Though Will Harding is very, very good. So, make of that what you will. That's very, very high. I don't know what his PPG's like, but we'll check that out in a minute. Interceptions-wise, I mean, Josh Parry loves an interception. And Aline is pretty good with interceptions too. So I wonder what he's got that Kai Knight doesn't. Who's Kai Knight wanted by as well, by the way? Rochdale. That's really strange to me. Tackles 1 ratio. I mean, this is the thing, though. Aline is very, very poor in the tackles. 74% tackles 1 ratio. What is his tackling? 13. That is baffling to me, to be honest, how he could possibly be that low. 3.28 there. Will Harding has somehow only made that. That is, what in the world? Tackles per game. How is he winning that many tackles per game? What is he doing to be winning that? Oh, hang on, wait. No, wait, sorry, my apologies. That was the wing-backs. It shows you, though, that our centre-backs are very much going to be... They're not really doing much tackling. They're sort of... Their main role seems to be clearing the ball, and our full-backs seem to be the ones doing a lot of the tackling because of our defensive midfielders. So they're very rarely leaving the defenders exposed, which does make me wonder... This is interesting. Sorry, I'm just formulating a plan in my head. It makes me think that we don't need to concentrate so much on the tackling attribute of our defense center of defenders. If we could find a player who's got really good heading and marking and decent physicals, and say they've only got like 7 tackling, I don't know how much of an effect it would really have on them, is what I'm trying to say here. So Josh Parry has got, what, 10 tackling, and he's made 1.07. Now, I know the tackling attribute isn't the only thing that matters here, but I'm just interested. Whereas Kai Knight has 14 tackling, and yet has made less tackles. It's given me a bit of wiggle room, because I think what's happening is that our fullbacks and our defensive midfielders are doing the tackling for them, and they're mainly being relied upon to win stuff in the air, which makes me wonder if the ones that perform the best are going to be the ones that have had the most success in the air this season, and that's actually the reason they've done so well, which might explain why someone who's a bit short, they're all fairly tall though, aren't they? I don't know, we'll figure it out. Pass completion wise, they're all fairly low. Josh Parrott 69%, nice. The others are all fairly low down towards there, but Will Harding's not too bad as there as well. Key passes per 90 minutes, it's a relatively similar story, except Kai Knight is the one that comes out on top this time. Or no, does he? Show and Lean is actually slightly better. So headers won, this is key here. So Josh Parry at 82% headers won ratio, despite being one of the shorter players. Alina 81% as well. Kai Knight has only won 73% of his headers this season. Even Will Harding's gone up to 80. Headers won per 90 minutes. Kai Knight does actually win the most, so he might just be challenging for the most. But they're all over a relatively good set of... Yeah. This is fascinating to me now. You can see that we score a lot of goals with Show and Lean in the team. The PPGs of these three here are roughly the same, with Will Harding being slightly below. I like what we've got for centre-backs. If we can get Josh Parry back, which I'm going to try and do now, because why the hell not? Let's see if we can bring him... I'm concerned that Fulham will want to... £400 a week to let him go on loan for another season. I always turn these off just in case. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer getting Thornley and Parry back for a second season. I like both of their work. I think they've got, particularly Thornley with his 1.72 PPG. That is a really big standout thing for me. And also with a J at 1.83. That to me suggests that if we could play them both next year, it's obviously not the be-all and end-all, but it's worth mentioning. So if we can get Parry and Thornley back... we've also got, remember, we've got another guy coming in already. I really don't think centre-back is an area we need to strengthen. If we get Parry back, keep the other guys, maybe move Will Harding on. We've got Daniel Jones coming in from Manchester City, another 6'6" player, bear in mind. And another New Zealander. I think we've already got one, haven't we? I don't know. So there's that too. I think that would certainly set us up for a solid season. And he's tall, which again, plays into the hands of what we clearly need to be doing. But it does show you that Josh Parry, not being the tallest, still excellent in the air. Has made a huge difference for us this season, and he's got a little bit more about his game too. Lots of potential in this area too, so I'm actually really, really pleased with that. Right, let's check out DMs. So really, there's quite a lot to compare here. Idris and Richardson, Vernon, Teal, I guess, Bishop too, but the lack of game time really means you can only really go from Teal upwards, I have to say. So team conceded per 90 minutes. We concede more goals with Idris in the team than we do Richardson, so that's certainly worth noting. Vernon's roughly about as good as Richardson. Teal, slightly better, actually, and over a reasonable number of games. Okay, it's only 8 starts, but that's still, less than a goal a game in that period. Interceptions-wise, though, he is struggling compared to Vernon, who's very, very good. Vernon does seem to be quite good at the defensive aspects of the game, despite only having 7 tackling. I guess that's because he is actually naturally a ball-winning midfielder, which is the role we use here. So he seems like the best guy for that job currently. And maybe what we've been doing wrong is having Idris and Richardson alongside each other when we should have been having Idris and Vernon, or Richardson and Vernon. I don't know. It's noteworthy, if nothing else. Tackles won, again, you can see Vernon at 95%. It's head and shoulders above the rest. Idris has been decent, but 95% is fantastic. He's winning 3 tackles per game, outdoing everybody else, particularly Richardson. Pass completion, 84% too. That's really good. Like, he's done I'm really liking Jed Vernon's work this season. Key passes, again, it's nowhere near what these guys are doing. In fact, you could see Idris has played more key passes than Richardson. We were expecting that after what we'd seen. But you can see the PPG is very, very low. But that might just be because Idris has played the full season practically with very little break. So I don't know how much we can read into that when he's played. Then again, he's played the same number of minutes as John Richardson. So clearly something's not right here when he does play. But that's maybe because we've used him in the wrong position. That genuinely could be it. He's just been played out of position because we anticipated him being alongside Richardson, and as a result, in fact, that's definitely what's happened. Because what's happened is I've played Vernon as the regista and Idris alongside him because that's what the game keeps recommending to me. And I don't believe it's because of the footedness of the players. I think it's because technically Vernon is slightly more competent in that role, despite not being that good there, really. He is clearly more of a ball-winning midfielder, despite having poor tackling and marking. For whatever reason, he seems to perform better. So I think maybe the mistake was having them that way around when they were playing. And maybe Idris should have been the regista and Vernon should have been the ball-winning midfielder, because that's clearly his best role. Maybe that's the reason that Idris underperformed in those matches, or less him, but more the entire team. So what I'm learning here is that Idris has been used I've used him poorly, and Vernon has been very much better than I thought he was. Headers won again. Look at this 84% headers won ratio too. There's me talking about, I need a big boisterous central midfielder that can do all this job. And it turns out there's one sitting right under our nose the entire time. I do still think we could do better. We could find another player here, but it can't be ignored that he's done well this year. Headers won, solid. Doesn't dribble that much because that's not really his role. Obviously, Richardson does because he's in the regista position. Cross completion, again, very solid too. Assists-wise, he's not really there for that. Look at the Idris, although, again, the corners thing kind of skews that slightly. Team goals per 90 minutes, same as Idris. We score a lot more with Richardson in the team, though, to be fair. He does hit the target a bit more, and his PPG is excellent still. Ooh, very interesting. So, yeah, I think we've got a plan for next year. I'm going to try, again, to line up a third one here anyway, because why the hell not? We'll make an offer. Wait, excuse me? What? Hang on. What? I could have sworn okay, so yeah, it will have to be something to do with that. We may not be able to get Idris back next season. We'll have to see. Be nice if we could, though, because I actually want to keep some of these teams together. So, as far as defensive midfield goes, I definitely do want to bring in someone new anyway, but someone in the Jed Vernon mold, like a ball-winning midfielder player that can play there, because I think that actually will get us more out of this team. We really do need to specialise the positions and stop trying to be so versatile. Having a guy that can do both is great, but I really don't think that we can afford to try and find that at this level. We need 2 players in each position, really, because that seems to be a position where we tend to get a lot of injuries. So I'm saying a DM, but a BWM, very important, and maybe even another kind of creative player, particularly if we don't get Idris back, and it seems unlikely. I think he'd cost too much in wages, and I think someone else would probably get in there before us anyway, because Cardiff are a championship side. Charlton could well be a championship side soon as well, so I think why would he join us? That's the problem. I guess the loan spell might help, but I'm not so sure on that one. So, midfielders, left-hand side, it's all about Dave Morton. Really, Michael Lee's the only other player that would have played in that position, and it's hard to really base that on stuff. But what I would say is that Dave Morton has still won more tackles than him. Average possession, wins more tackles as well. More key passes. Michael Lee makes way more passes, but Dave Morton seems to be way more incisive with them. He's better in the air. Well, he's actually worse in the air, but he wins more headers. Dribbling is better. Cross completion is 18, which is phenomenal. He's more creative. We score more goals. His PPG is better. Dave Morton is the winger for me. I do want to maybe bring in some backup, but Joe Bruce technically could well be that backup in the making. We just don't realise it yet. I think with Morton, Lee and Bruce on that side, I really don't see the need to strengthen in there just yet, quite frankly. It's certainly not on my priority list. Happy with Dave Morton. Let's crack on to the right side. On the right side, it's probably going to be a similar story. We've played a lot of players in this role. We've had Ray Jennings, we've had Mick Patrick, we've had Putman Kiley, but only briefly. Harding in there as well. I don't think anyone has even put up close to that number to the numbers, really, have they? I mean, Ray Jennings. Okay, so Mick Patrick, but it's so hard to tell, though, because he's come on late substitute matches, probably when we're already winning, so it's so hard to tell about that one. We might have to ignore that one for now. Does win a decent number of tackles, though, but again, it's so hard to know at this point. Key passes per 90 minutes. Sam Harding does make more key passes, and that is a considerable amount. He is better in the air too, wins more headers, doesn't dribble anywhere near as much though. Cross completion is worse. Nobody creates as many chances either as Ben Johnson. Only Mick Patrick has a better assist record. We score way more goals with Ben Johnson in the team, and his PPG, other than Ray Jennings, is pretty damn solid, to be fair. I don't see any way that Ben Johnson doesn't start there next season. Ray Jennings obviously won't be here, and I think with Harding, Patrick, and also, I think the new guy from Manchester United, Kiley, will come in too. And I think he plays in that position too. So we've got to remember, some players are already coming in as well. I don't really think the wings are our problem at the moment. They're one of the more fruitful positions in the entire team. Both Johnson and Morton have been excellent. And I don't really think that's a problem child for us. I think the problem child is going to be up front, which we're going to check out now. So Cross, Wakeling, Dale, Thomas. Everyone else, completely ignore them. So conceded isn't super important for strikers. Tackles one, I guess. Pass completion. Thomas does still win more passes. He makes more passes, I should say. Key passes, all about the same, which is nice, although Neil Cross actually comes out on top. Headers won, none of them are winning any headers. Just not a single one of them are winning any headers. Curtis Thomas does win the most, and Neil Cross has the best cross completion. Their assist records are virtually identical. Their chance creation records are virtually identical. We actually scored more goals with Jacob Wakeling in the team. But he does have the lowest. It's interesting that Curtis Thomas actually has the highest PPG of the three of them. But his goal score, I mean, at the moment, if you said, what can we do here? I'd probably still go with a Cross and Thomas partnership with Wakeling on the bench. But I think we're going to have to move Jacob Wakeling on in the summer. Or do we? I don't know. It's so hard to tell. He is 25, but then Curtis Thomas is 23. I don't know. We really do need to bring in another striker this summer, though. I want to find Curtis Thomas 2.0, basically. But failing that, then we may have to start next season with Curtis Thomas and Neil Cross back up front again. Because we still scored a decent number of goals. And honestly, if we'd just be better from set pieces defensively, we'd probably have got promoted automatically this season because they would have done enough. But maybe we can do more. I think there's no point in me sitting here going, well, you know, we could strengthen the strikers, but we could just strengthen the defence instead. And I think we can definitely be better going forward, particularly with the number of chances we create. We may as well try to improve that and find a striker that can do the Curtis Thomas job, but slightly better, quite frankly. And that will allow Curtis Thomas to be more of a bit part player and be more of an impact sub for us off the bench next season. That might well be the strat. So I think what I'll do is have like my coaching, my scouts going out specifically looking for pressing forwards this summer, because that's one of the positions that we absolutely must sign people in. So for me, goalkeeper, paramount. A ball-winning midfielder in the DM spot, paramount. And a pressing forward striker, paramount. Even if we have to spend £2,500 a week on each of those 3 players, I think that could be our gold mine shot to the championship if we can really push it next season. Now, of course, Blackhaven will probably be spending out their arse as well. So I expect that, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if next season's title race was between us and Blackhaven United, with us comfortably walking clear at the top of the league between us. But you've seen what can happen. I don't know if Neil Ardley's going to lose his job or not. If I'm Blackhaven, I would be sacking Neil Ardley for coming 10th with that team when they should be getting automatic promotion and allowing us, with our tiny budget, to finish above them. That's just embarrassing for them, isn't it? And to do the double over them as well for the very first time. You can't have a worse season if you're Blackhaven United than that, can you, really? So there we go. We may have got knocked out in the playoffs, but at least we got to the playoffs. So, let's see. Word of the day. The word of the day is going to be Rainbow Chew, because Em's left this open this nicotine salts on my desk. So that will be the word of the day. Rainbow Chew. So drop that in the comments in a sentence if you can find a way to use that. That would be awesome. If you've enjoyed this video, drop a like. It's been a bit of a longer one today. I thought we're getting back to our roots with these videos. I had a bit more time, so I thought I'd crack on with it. Yeah, if you've enjoyed it, drop a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That'd be sick. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays and Thursdays, and usually on Saturdays as well at the moment. So yeah, go follow there too, and I will join you guys tomorrow for some transfer goodies. It's going to be interesting if I can actually hit my targets for once, but let's face it, I wanted Bradley Davidson last summer, and look what happened there. So I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.